Hello again, and welcome to another of my vlogs. I apologise for the lack of videos in the last few weeks, but sometimes life just gets in the way. I hope you're all keeping well, and you've been able to get out in this good weather that we've been having in the last few days. As you can see behind, it's almost pure blue skies. There's a little wind at about 12 to 15 kilometres an hour. And the temperature is currently 24 centigrade and forecast to go up to approximately 27. We all know the obvious dangers when we're out cycling, from potholes to drivers who pass too close, pedestrians who just walk out into the road, and animals, whether they're on a leash or just roaming loose. But have you ever considered the hidden danger when cycling out in real sunny days, in calm weather? It's something that can hit anyone, whether they're a solo rider or riding in a group. It sneaks up on you, and it's most likely to hit you between 11 AM and 3 PM when the sun is at its highest and the day is at its warmest. I'm talking about heat exhaustion and heat stroke. Whenever we're out cycling in warm weather, our body is under heat stress and normally regulates its temperature by sweating and the sweat evaporating to cool the body. However, heat exhaustion starts when the body finds this difficult because it comes too hot. The symptoms are a headache, starting to feel faint or dizzy, lightheadedness even, excessive sweating, and the start of muscle cramps, normally in the stomach or in the legs. If you do not listen to these symptoms and treat it, then it may progress to heat stroke. When the condition deteriorates to heat stroke, then the individual becomes confused. Sweating actually stops as the body is trying to retain enough liquid to allow the blood to flow. The skin becomes hot and dry. There may be nausea and even vomiting, and finally the person may lose consciousness, and in that worst case, if it's not treated, may die. So what can we do to prevent heat exhaustion and heat stroke? It all starts with the preparation. Like when you're thinking about what route to do. If it's going to be really hot, then don't make your ride too taxing relative to the others that you normally do. For instance, if you normally do 25 to 30 miles, don't try to do 60 to 70 miles on what might be the hottest day of the year. Also, when you've planned your route, consider where you might take emergency shortcuts, so that if you do start to feel unwell, or if you start to experience any of the symptoms of exhaustion or stroke, then you can just turn for home and hopefully, having taken some rest in the shade for a little while, get home without feeling the full effects. Try to incorporate roads which are shaded during the hottest part of the day, especially when you're ascending, which will help the body cool. If you're unfamiliar with the roads you're going to be using, then have a look on Google Street View. Finally, on hot days, plan in regular stops where you can get in the shade and cool down. Wherever possible, wear lightweight clothing. This will help the sweat wick away from the body and evaporate to help cooling. In addition, try wearing light colours. These will reflect the heat from the sun better than dark colours and will slow the heating effect of the sun on the body. Apply sun lotion of whatever factor you prefer, and this will prevent sunburn, which dries out the skin and exacerbates the effects of heat exhaustion and heat stroke. Hydration is very important in counteracting the onset and the effects of heat exhaustion and stroke. You should ensure you're fully hydrated before leaving home. Continue drinking water or tea, not coffee because that is a diuretic and would remove water from the body, until just before you leave home. Consider carrying 2 bidons of water on your bike, even if this means that you have to put your spares into your back pockets or into a saddlebag. Plan stops where you can refill your bidons. These should be incorporated into the stops that you've already considered for cooling down. If possible, use hydration tablets in your bidons to help replace the salts that are lost by sweating. These salts are necessary in order to have full nerve and muscle function. If you are doing a long ride, then it's always worth taking a few extra hydration tablets with you so that you can add them to your bidons when they're refilled. If you would prefer to make your own homemade electrolyte drink, then you can do so by taking 150 ml of sugar-free cordial of any flavour. Remember to reduce this quantity if you're using double or quadruple strength. Then make that up to 1 litre with water and add a pinch of salt. It is also worth considering installing the refill app on your smartphone, as this can give you the locations of places where you can fill your bidons for free. Another alternative for obtaining water is to check in churchyards or graveyards. They often have a tap. The grain in the fields is turning a golden yellow. It won't be long until it's ready to harvest. If the worst comes to the worst, just knock on the door of the next house you come to. It's highly unlikely that anybody will refuse to fill a bidon for you. The final item which will help stave off the onset of heat exhaustion or heat stroke is eating. Now, the food that you eat gives you the energy which you use during cycling, but it also helps with bodily functions. Most of the food that we eat has the essential salts that we need in order to keep our muscles and nerves working properly. You'll probably find that if you're doing a very long ride or have included a lot of ascent, that you will be able to eat solid food such as sandwiches, scones, cakes, etc. at the beginning of the ride, and as you progress it'll be harder and harder for you to eat and digest those. You may want to move over to an energy drink or energy gels which contain the essential salts necessary for nerve and muscle operation. Isn't that a beautiful sight ahead? So how should you treat heat exhaustion or heat stroke? Well, where we are now is an ideal place, because the person who is suffering should be taken to a shaded area and given plenty to drink. There they should remain for at least 15 minutes. Here there is a water source quite close, and it would be possible to take an item of clothing, a jersey, a snook or arm warmers for instance, and go and soak it in the water. Use that to wipe down the exposed skin to help it cool, and even place it around somebody's neck in order to help cool the circulating blood. If the water is readily accessible to the patient, then you could even get them to sit with their feet or their hands in the water, which will also help cool the circulating blood. But whatever you do, do not get them to immerse themselves in the water, as a cold shock could be dangerous and life-threatening. If after 30 minutes the patient is still continuing to exhibit the symptoms of heat exhaustion or heat stroke, then you should call professional help. 999 is a good idea. The content of this video has been serious in nature rather than the normal description of a ride around Teesside, but I hope that you may be forewarned about the problems that may occur when cycling in very hot weather, and how you might take steps to alleviate heat exhaustion and heat stroke. The latter can be life-threatening. I've experienced heat exhaustion, and I can tell you it's not very pleasant. When you do stop sweating, you start to feel like you're burning up, and you just can't get enough liquid to try and cool you down. Shade and sponging down is the only way that you can really start to recover. I hope you've enjoyed and learned something from this vlog. If so, please give it a thumbs up. Until the next time, stay safe, enjoy your cycling. Bye for now.